What's going on, everyone? Mic check. You hear me, George? Can you hear me? Oh, well, I hope all is well, everyone. If you can hear me, George's, what's up, man? GC, you there?
He might be running. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good to be with you, Haas. It's been a while since I've done one of these with you.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time, actually. How are you doing?
Doing good. Gearing up for consensus. So
I know you're a Midwest guy. Are you a NBA fan by chance? Because I think you're up by Minnesota, aren't you?
I'm not that far. But some of the guys I work with are. I know the Shade Protocol guys are up there, and they were very, very happy with the Timberwolves. So
Yeah, I forgot. You're Chicago based. Yeah, you probably don't care about the Timberwolves then.
yeah, we ever since Jordan, Pippen, and the good guys left when I was very young. Yeah, Chicago hasn't given us much. D Rose for a little bit until his knees went out.
Yeah, man, that was sad what happened to him. He was so good for Memphis, and then he came to the NBA and blew his knees out a bunch of times. George, can you hear us finally? You alive? Do you have a pulse? I guess he doesn't.
The pulse just went out.
He just left. He's probably trying to. I hope he's not trying to connect from his computer. If you can hear us, George, do not connect from your computer. It's not a good shit. It's always shaky. Yeah. Yes. What was going on over there? You have a little bit of difficulties.
Yeah, I don't know. It's X spaces as usual. So my
What were
mic's
you? Were you trying to connect from your phone or your computer?
computer.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't like using my phone. My phone. For this.
I know. Trust me. I got a good setup. I always have to hold my dumb phone next to my mouth the entire time because it's the only thing that's like stable. Yeah, man. So what's going on? Ready to get it rolling? You good to go? Oh god, he got rugged already.
Well, the official Euclid is. So if George bounces in and out, we can spread the Euclid unified liquidity layer all day with you.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, might as well go, Melch. Cosmos Haas here. We're gonna have Euclid today, and essentially find out what problem that they thought that Cosmos had and that they're trying to solve, or just in this space as a whole, liquidity. So, if you wanted to do a quick little intro on yourself, and then I could try to pass it over to George and see what's going on with him.
Yeah, George, I'll do a quick one, and hopefully you can get back in here. My name is Melch. I am the head of growth at Euclid. Really, we're aiming at doing partnerships with as many chains as we can to be able to bring our unified liquidity layer to everybody, right? The idea that the Cosmos is a great example for how liquidity is fractured everywhere, right? If you have any kind of DApp or DEX or even just a layer one, you need liquidity on your layer one or on your DEX. And to do that in the Cosmos, we just keep taking from each other, right? Where the whole ethos of Cosmos was let's work together. Let's IBC. We can all talk to each other. And yet we just kind of keep fighting for the same liquidity. And when a new chain or app chain gets created, it just magnifies that problem even more exponentially. So Euclid, we're building the modular, accessible, unified liquidity layer that everybody can tap into. Get your liquidity in one place. Don't let your project die because you can't find liquidity in a zero-sum game. Come work with Euclid instead. That's my sales pitch. How'd it go?
I thought it went well. George, are you back? Gosh. No, it's very true though. In theory, like it's just like a plague. And
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Gosh.
I can't hear nobody. I'm gonna join from my phone. It's not working out from the computer.
All right. I removed you, George. If you can hear me, I removed you. I'm gonna bring you back up. Let's see if that works. But no, what I was gonna add to what you just said, Sean, is I agree. Like I think a problem in a space as a whole is that the liquidity is so fragmented, but more so in Cosmos, it's challenging, man. It's all like the liquidity is like all over the place. It's like survival of the fittest, and you need to have deep liquidity so people can make trades and not resort to always having to go to a centralized exchange to make like a bigger trade. For like retail, it's not the biggest deal. I mean, there might be a little bit of slippage, but most people are just buying just enough to get like an NFT or stake a little bit. But if you're trying to get real money and that's throwing around money all the time, it's just challenging in Cosmos because right now it's like there's just certain polls, right? Like one poll would be really good for this pair, then there's another one over here, and then the user has to go mess around and go find out about all that, and then they just get frustrated. So that's one of the things that kind of Ethereum, the EVM world does well is that generally there's just like kind of one place. It's monolithic. It's not all these different blockchains, and people could just easily swap. But George, you there?
Yeah, I connected from my phone. Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yep, we're all good. So I just did a quick intro, and then Sean did an intro, and basically, yeah, do your thing, man. Like my question really was like do an intro, but essentially, what problem did you want to solve, which we kind of went over already, and why you're doing what you're doing, and like just the things that you're thinking about right now. And then obviously we'll get into more, but
Sure. Okay. So basically, hey guys, I'm George. I'm the founder of Euclid. And what we're doing is we're basically building a unified liquidity layer that spans across the entire blockchain ecosystem, whether that is Cosmos, whether that is layer 2s on EVM, Solana, and all of these chains. Now, basically, the problem we're solving is that all of this liquidity which exists is all fragmented. And when I say fragmented, it's mostly centralized in some of the biggest chains that exist. And all the others basically have the crumbs and they're all fighting for the same crumbs. Now, the issue with this is that first, it's a very bad user experience for any user who's using like decentralized apps because liquidity is so shallow and they need to bridge assets from one place to another, which is really bad, right? And then there's for the developer side, most developers are wanting to build on a consensus layer or application layer, which they like on Cosmos, like on layer twos, but they're not able to because the liquidity that exists on this chain does not basically support or is not enough for them to be able to deploy their application. What Euclid solves, it will allow any developer to build on any consensus layer that they want, whether it is Cosmos, whether it's Secret for private apps, Injective, layer 2, and without worrying about liquidity because it's all unified, right? I will talk more about how we unify this liquidity, but yeah, so it basically ushers a new age of DeFi where you'll be able to build on top of any chain that you want without worrying about liquidity anymore.
yeah, I like that. That's good pitch. So I guess to get more into technicalities, to do this, you would have to have a relayer up to each chain. And how many is the goal whenever it goes live?
How many chains?
Yeah, like right away, do you expect?
We expect 10 to 15 chains in the Cosmos and EVM space, and
Okay.
also possibly Solana as well at launch. And yeah, so basically we have our own private relayers that we will run with our own messaging protocol to be able to extend over to any chain that we want. And it's basically very scalable. We only need one channel that exists between every chain, so we won't worry about scalability issues or network issues or performance issues even.
Makes sense. Trying to think what else that I was going to ask you. I kind of lost my train of thought about that. So okay, I get it. Everything is on its own chain. So if you're a team or a foundation, I should say, and you're like, hey, our goal is to have the most TVL on our chain. Why would we want to give you our liquidity? And essentially, it's not that. It's you're getting the liquidity, but it remains on your chain. So it goes, it tallies up your
Yeah.
TVL still. It's not it's not going to a sovereign chain somewhere else. So that's always a good thing. It looks good. So
Yeah.
where how does all the pricing work? Like how does where like is it what oracle's being used? How does that work?
Yeah. So basically, those 2 points are basically the same answer. So basically, what happens is we unify liquidity virtually, so that basically there's no single point of failure. We don't actually bridge assets from a chain to another chain to unify it. It remains on your chain. You own your own TVL that you got, and basically, yeah. So we don't actually bridge it over to another chain or unify it in one place, because that's in our eyes a security issue that we don't want to risk at all. What happens is we use a virtual settlement layer. In that case, it's Nibiru chain on Cosmos, which basically stores all of this liquidity as a ledger, but just tallies it. It does not actually hold the tokens. It just tallies the liquidity that exists on each chain. So it knows, for example, that there is 1 million on Cosmos, 1 million on a layer 2, whatever that is. And it doesn't worry about where the tokens exist. They can exist on all the chains wherever they originally come from, and the TVL stays there. But our virtual settlement layer tracks all this liquidity. And whenever a swap occurs on any chain, or you add liquidity or you remove liquidity, it basically, using our messaging protocol, sends a message over to the virtual settlement layer. It checks how much liquidity exists. It calculates how much tokens they should receive back, and then it sends back an acknowledgement, right? And all this process takes less than 2 seconds to execute. So it's not like a bad user experience. So yeah, so this is how basically we're able to unify liquidity while also keeping TVL on each chain.
So having said all that, you guys going to be essentially on like IBC Fund or any of those like aggregators like TFM or whatnot tap into it?
Yeah, exactly. So we're already in talks with some aggregators and protocols and similar projects to be able to help them basically integrate the Euclid liquidity layer into them, which makes it even easier for any of their users to tap into a unified source of liquidity, which would offer better slippage, better price efficiency as well, and yeah, better experience.
Okay. So what role does I know I remember reading about it earlier, like Nibiru. Like what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, so Nibiru is the virtual settlement layer of Euclid, which basically means this is where all our settlements happen virtually, of course, and all messaging goes through Nibiru to make sure of the total liquidity that exists and ensures one source of truth for all chains that integrate with Euclid. And we chose Nibiru for the reason that it has a optimistic parallel execution for transactions, so it could handle theoretically up to 40,000 transactions per second, which is needed in our case because if you're integrating with 15, 20, 100 chains in the future, you need to handle all transactions on all of these chains at the same time. So we need infrastructure that is able to settle transactions across all these chains. So I think personally Nibiru is a good choice for that. It's also in the Cosmos, which allows you to have to be able to use our messaging protocol, which is built on top of IBC, right? And extends IBC. And IBC for me is the only cross-chain messaging protocol that could work for Euclid, for any unified liquidity protocol, because it guarantees finality. And when I say guarantees finality, it means that when you perform a transaction, you will definitely know if this transaction is a success or fails. For example, there's some projects that have tried with ZK proofs, but the issue with ZK proofs is that you do not actually guarantee finality, which is, I think, in DeFi one of the most important aspects of your protocol. Because finality, if you don't have it, then you're not sure if your tokens could get lost, imbalances in pools could happen. But when you have finality, you don't have any of these security risks, which I think is a big plus for Euclid.
So not to name any names, but like we're out right now that you can use in this space where that's not like a scary thing. I don't know if that made any sense. Kind of mumbling right now, but what protocol uses that where it's like, man, that's kind of scary.
Well, it's not scary. I won't say it's scary, right? And I don't think any protocol actually currently uses that anymore. Maybe some have tried before. And again, not to name any names, but yeah. So, but you can look at research done by some like Delphi and Three Sigma, and they talk about this extensively as well. That pool imbalances could happen, transactions could get lost because in zk proofs, you need also enough power to compute all the proofs for all transactions, which could also lead to some scalability issues. Doesn't mean it's a bad idea, which is it's not, but I think does introduce some security risks that Euclid does not.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just trying to think. So I always ask this question. I know it's not never really a good question to ask, but all goes well. Like, what's the best case scenario for everything to be live, up and running?
Timeline wise,
Yeah.
yeah, I think hopefully we can get out in Q4 on mainnet. So we plan to do incentivized testnet with our main strategic partners by summer, and we have a couple of those that we're finalizing. And then hopefully we can go on mainnet live, our V1, by Q4 2024, like around November.
So whenever you approach a team for like liquidity, are you gonna just match it like 1-to-1? Like, how's that gonna work?
Yeah, I think Sean can talk more about that.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is make it as easy as possible. I think that this is one area that most existing teams kind of think of last, which is, you'll build a great product and then you go, oh my God, crap, we need liquidity. And how do we convince people to come put it on us? And then you're kind of backtracking to whatever your initial unique identifying factor is for your layer one or your dApp or whatever it is, where George and I have decided, okay, let's start this process now. Like MVP is being built right now. So we're starting this from day one, which allows us to design it to be as simple as possible, which is what do these guys need? What's the incentivization for them, right? Nobody wants to give up their liquidity to put it somewhere else, like you were saying, Haas. They want to keep it on their chain and for their dApps and to support their ecosystem. So thanks to how George is designing Euclid, that's exactly what we're offering. We're saying, hey, don't come, bring it and give it away. Come integrate with Euclid. We need to be on your blockchain anyway, so that we can create the virtual pools in our settlement layer. What we need is we're gonna give you Euclid, right? Most people say, give us a grant, right? And then everybody is worried about that getting rug pulled, right? We just supported this team for 70 grand or whatever, and they run away. We're not even gonna charge. Make it as simple as possible. Integrate with us, no grants, and then we're gonna co-market with you. Your users and all your dApps have the ability to now tap into our unified liquidity layer. So all of them don't need to worry about where am I going to get liquidity? How am I going to survive? Just build a great product, right? We're going to come and do all that work for you. And what we're asking for in return is creating a liquidity pool with us. So now that TVL stays on your chain. You're not having to get the grant. Your dApps and all your users have access to the liquidity that we're going out and getting across all blockchains. It makes it as simple as possible. What we're seeing in the initial conversations is teams are just like, we've never seen anything like this. It's almost too easy. Can you walk me through that one more time? So we've had a good response with the initial teams that we've talked to, and it's been going well.
Do you know if anyone has tried to do this before or
no? Well, yes. Like there's some projects that try to do unified liquidity, either on a specific like ecosystem, like layer 2 EVMs, whatever. But most of them did not like go or succeed or what they expected because there's a couple of reasons. First, they didn't guarantee finality, or they used a subpar messaging protocol, which is one of the main issues that we're trying to solve. Two, they did not attract enough liquidity for the chain initially, for the lead protocol initially to get traction, which I think is one of the most important things we are working on, which is getting our initial strategic partners as layer ones, as protocols that want to integrate Euclid, support them from day one, and basically ensure that we're able to provide all the infrastructure needed for the developers to get Euclid up and running from day one.
So I'm trying to just visualize too, like the front end. If you're on there and you have X token, but the other pool is like Y and Z, are you guys just gonna not even show the route, or like how's that gonna work? Like if I have a token that's on one blockchain, but then I want to swap into the other two, you know, like there's on like IBC Fund or whatever, it's just IBC is the packets over to that chain and then makes the swap, and you can
Yeah,
see that. I was just trying to kind of visualize like how it would look on your on the Euclid's website.
yeah. So basically, we're an infrastructure layer. So at the end of the day, any website could integrate us in any way they want. They could do it as advanced as possible or as simple as possible. We're gonna have also an interface for our own swap or DEX, if you want to call it, where it's chain agnostic, and there's two settings. So there's a simple setting which you don't care at all what chain you're on, what chain you're going to, what anything. You just care about doing swap like are on Binance or centralized exchange, and that's for most of the traders. That would be the case. And there's also advanced, where you're able basically to choose what chain you want to trade from, what chain you want to receive your tokens on, and see the routes. And basically, there's no routes because it's all unified. But you'll be able to see way more details than the basic setting, right? Where it's all like you're using a centralized exchange.
So how's the feedback been from, like, you know, you guys said you're kind of doing the opposite part too. You're coinciding with like your marketing push. I don't want to say marketing, but approaching different teams. So how's the feedback been talking to different teams?
Yeah, so it has been great. Most of them like really like the idea. It's easy to integrate, easy to help support us, easy for us to support them. We'll incubate all projects on the layer one that we're supporting, integrating as well, and give them all the support they need, of course. And yeah, it's very easy for them. There's nothing to lose. You're not using TVR. You're not paying anything. Like, yeah, just adding liquidity that you can remove anytime as well. But it's like basically bootstrapping the unified liquidity so that from day one, it's useful and users would actually use it. And actually, developers would come and build on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because I mean I've dealt with, you know, helping teams and people in this space with, you know, getting a listing on you know, a Dex and all that, and then there's just like a lot of moving parts where, you know, maybe they do it and there's not really that much TV or not TVL but volume, and it's just, you know, you only have so much pie to pass around, so to speak. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
in the long run, it's obviously going to be a net positive because I don't really see any like deterrence or downfall. Maybe initially you might get people who are like, oh, well, what's the point? But then after, you know, it's like the network effect. After it starts taking off, and you're like, oh, you know what? That actually is pretty cool. Instead of me, you know,
Yeah.
taking 100K of our you know, token and throwing it on a decentralized, you know, this DEX over here, it's like we're keeping it on our own. It's almost like you're getting your own DEX, like another additional DEX, without getting another additional DEX on your own chain, you know. So I just think it's a net positive for sure. And then especially if you can have like all the aggregators out there, like kind of tapping into it. If you have the best trade, the best, you know, the lowest slippage or whatever, and it automatically can kind of decipher that, then that would even be better from that sort of experience.
Yeah.
Now, what about like other liquidity providers? Like, let's say I wanted to provide liquidity in a certain pool. Like, what's that going to look like?
Yeah. So basically, you'll be able to provide liquidity on any chain that you want. That integrates with Euclid, of course. You just spin up a pool for the same pair, and then it connects by itself to the virtual pool that exists on Nibiru. So it's very easy to do. You won't face any issues. Then you just spin up, add liquidity, and then you just earn fees from this pair being traded on any blockchain that exists on Euclid. So it's that easy. It's like providing to a normal DEX. It's not an issue at all. And I think liquidity providers on Euclid will benefit from lower impermanent loss because we have higher price efficiency. So our price is more stable because it spans across different blockchains and liquidity pools. Plus, and it's unified, of course. Plus, it's easier to provide liquidity from any chain that you want without having to bridge tokens from one place to another. And hopefully, in probably another iteration, we'll be able to provide liquidity from two tokens that maybe also exist on two different chains as well without having to bridge.
That's cool. I was thinking of another thing too. Is it going to be permissionless?
Yes, it's permissionless. Now there's going to be a small fee you have to pay with Euclid tokens, and the reason is to avoid Sybil attacks or
Oh
spam.
yeah.
But yeah, it's basically negligible, and yeah, there's also a minimum liquidity you have to provide, so we don't basically spam pools as well. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty permissionless. It's permissionless to tap into, And we also have an API to make it easier for front-end interfaces to connect to us. So, and it's all permissionless, yes.
I was thinking because that could be even. I know we didn't really discuss it, but that could even be somehow because one of the problems with I don't advise to invest in anything, especially meme coins, but meme coins are the culture. They're part of the space, and it's just something that every legitimate chain that's doing well has. It's just a thing, and Cosmos has been itching at the neck for a long time now to have meme coins or have that sort of volume and exchange, and it really hasn't taken off. I mean, I've been in Cosmos for over 3 years, and it's okay. The meme coin trading, it's okay. It's getting a little bit better, but this could even be something too because I've talked to people that have meme coins or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, we want to get a listing over here, get a one over here, and then there's just not enough volume for anyone to be serious about it. And you have to have where someone can come in and buy like 10K or 15K and not just get bamboozled from all that slippage, and that's just not a thing. It's a thing in like Ethereum and Solana and some other ecosystems, but that's what you need. You have to have legitimate TVL where people aren't just getting wrecked, and the price can actually move up because, like, especially in meme coins, I mean, that's what people want. Token price go up, and it's hard
Yeah.
for it to go up if everyone has to nickel and dime like little trades all the time. You know what I mean? So that could be something too that actually helps Cosmos as a whole. Because a lot of people, in this space, especially traders, they just care about the price, whatever. It's fine. That's what their thing is. But they're not going to be like, someone that really loves meme coins. They're not going to be like, oh, you know what? Let me go really check out Cosmos because there really isn't the best meme coin culture experience yet. I think it's going to change, but, I'm hoping it does at least because that brings a lot of new eyes. And if they stick, they stick. If they don't, they don't. But yeah, I mean, you just see it. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons that Solana has done so well 2023 and then and into this year is because it's like a playground for meme coins. Like everyone's just like so many people never used Solana before this meme coin movement that Solana has had. So I think that would be nice if Cosmos can have that too.
Yeah, so basically you'll be able to abstract so basically you'll be able to deploy meme coins on Solana, and the liquidity pool, since it's unified, you'll be able to trade it on Cosmos and vice versa as well. So the goal is to abstract where you deploy on. You can deploy on wherever you like, while also being able to tap into liquidity that exists across the entire blockchain. So you could create a meme coin on Solana, and then because it's easier or whatever, and then be able to access or trade this meme coin on Cosmos on EVM. Same thing, vice versa. So if you create a meme coin on Cosmos, and our liquidity layer makes it easy to create a token as well, and then you'll be able to basically tap into or trade it on any other chain that you want, any other dApp that you want that exists on any Euclid integrated chain. So meme coins won't only anymore exist on Solana, but they would actually exist on all Euclid integrated blockchains.
Yeah, I like that. So I'm assuming for like the Solana part, you'd probably be using like Pika to get that.
Sorry?
What is it? How do you? I don't even know how to say it right now. Piasco. What's the one that's doing IBC from Solana to Cosmos?
Yeah, we won't be. I don't think we'll be using them. I think we'll be building on top of IBC ourselves and extending ourselves, possibly using also CCTP in some places. But yeah,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone in the audience has any questions, feel free to come up, raise your hand, and I'll bring you up. I'm trying to think if I had any other particular questions. I know it's getting a little bit more on the technical side of things, which can be a little bit dry and boring, but I like to understand how all that works, and it's fascinating because I think IBC has so much utility that's not always tapped into or not like the initial idea is really good, but then the execution of it's not the best. And I think this is like kind of it will showcase what IBC can really do. That you can have uh, you basically can have a DEX, right? That's on every chain without having to say like, oh, like someone needed to build that into your front end. You're just literally using IBC and the liquidity is native on your chain. So it's a win-win all the way around. It's not fragmenting, the liquidity. Now, the only thing that I can see somewhat being an issue is generally most foundations or teams have like some sort of agreements with their decks that's on their chain. Like I don't want to say kickbacks or cashbacks or whatever word you want to use there. That would be kind of the thing that I would assume that you would need to implement somehow, is some reasons to, like, besides the obvious thing of the TVL thing, but some way to, like, let's face it, grease their palms, if you will. You know what I mean? So that's the only
Yeah.
thing I could think of.
Yeah, we're in the talks. We're in talks also with the dexes on these chains to integrate us and make their dex even more user friendly, more efficient. Also, one thing I saw that Jim, which is in the space, just asked some questions in the replies to the space. Also, you can hop on and ask them here. But basically, he's saying that so is it centralized liquidity or hypothetical liquidity, or how does it work? Basically, it's virtual liquidity, which is basically keeping a ledger in a virtual settlement layer, which keeps track of liquidity across all chains. We're actually the opposite of centralized liquidity. We're completely modular and decentralized liquidity. Sorry. And the reason is because um, we're not actually bridging tokens from one place to another. We're just keeping it on the chain that exists on. But the virtual settlement layer just unifies and keeps track of all this liquidity in one place. It's like a major oracle. It's not, but assume it is. It's like a major oracle where it keeps all the prices and liquidity that exists, so that whenever you perform a trade, you're able to perform a trade against the total liquidity and know exactly what chain has how much liquidity, so that you're able to efficiently calculate slippage and calculate the price, as well as be able to move tokens if you want during swap and do cross-chain swaps as well from one place to another, while tapping to the same source of truth. Okay, so it's not fake liquidity and it's not centralized. It's actually real liquidity that exists on multiple chains, but it's all unified in one place virtually to avoid issues of centralization. But if you have any more questions, you also hop on and ask them.
Yeah, it was good. I just actually seen that. My Twitter was bugged out. I couldn't even read any of the comments, but yeah, man, that was good stuff right there. Yeah, I mean, I conceptualize all of it. It makes total sense. It's just, it's like anything in this space. As long as you start to get momentum, then it's like easy peasy, in my opinion. But sometimes it's hard to get momentum. But again, I think that's a net positive for any chain that wants to kind of have liquidity. Especially the ones that don't have dexes on their chain already. It's like, oh, we have 2.5 million TVL on either like osmosis or whatever, but maybe they would like to add. I guess some chains don't care about TVL, but like a lot of them do. You know what I mean? Like they want the TVL to stay on their chain. The validators get validation from running their nodes and all that too. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think all the way around it's a two thumbs up on the approach and the execution, to be seen and all that. So
I agree. And yeah, so I think it basically it basically focuses on ensuring that we provide the best user experience and price efficiency possible, and unify it so that user experience is finally abstract in a way where you don't care anymore where liquidity exists, as long as you're able to build on any application layer that you want, Cosmos or non-Cosmos, and remove the zero-sum game that currently exists right now, and change it to a positive-sum game where all chains benefit from Web3 growth instead of fighting for the same liquidity out there.
yep, I agree. I know you and we go way back, and that was one of the things. Even before you started building this, I know we were talking about that. And one of the issues with Cosmos is how big it is, but how small it feels. It's like the liquidity is just everywhere. And then from someone that comes into the for their first experience in the Cosmos, it can be a little bit troubling or hard to bear with, because they're so used to, like, oh yeah, I'm a soul guy. I come over, and then it's just like, okay, there's so much to know. It's like there's so many things to do. It's just like, where do I begin? So this can help with that too, and like you were saying before, with like the developers and building and all that too. So it's gonna be, yeah. I mean, I'm all for it, man. I throw the word modularity, and I'm interested, because like that's just besides AI, that's like the other thing, right? It's like
Yeah,
modularity. So
yeah.
It's pretty cool. I don't really have any follow-up questions. I mean, if you wanted to just talk more about, what else you think about this industry. I know like right now we're doing well if you look at the prices, which I try to stay away from, but it is good whenever the charts are going up. Everyone's more excited, has more enthusiasm. All the doom and gloomers, I haven't seen them tweeting out lately. There's a few of them in Cosmos that I don't know if they get off on or what, but like all they ever talk about is everything being so negative, and I haven't seen them tweeting out lately. So I don't want to name names. People, if you're grinding in Cosmos, you probably know who they are. But yeah, it's kind of funny.
It's basically sentiment, right? So when the price is down, everybody's sad. When the price is up, everybody's happy. And then it's the same thing on and on. So we've seen people have been long enough in the space know that it depends on the cycle. So if the price is down, everybody's negative or everybody's scamming, still whatever. And then when the price is up, everybody's happy. So at the end of the day, I don't blame anyone on what they think, and what of different projects of the space of Cosmos, and Cosmos has its drama, its own like reality show. But yeah, I'm overall very bullish on the space, very bullish on Cosmos and like modularity of chains. Like Layer twos are trying to implement what Cosmos has already has, and yeah, so I'm pretty bullish on the overall scene of how's everything looking. I think the space is getting way better than it was a year, 2 years ago. We're moving away from uh, just simple DeFi to more complex use cases, which I believe will bring even more retail users to the space, which I think is number one thing people should be focusing on right now. And we're trying to provide the infrastructure which basically simplifies this.
Yeah, I always say to myself, is the space getting better? Like I always try to reflect back to, I've been in it for a little over 3 years now, and it is a million times better than it was. Is there a lot of work to still be done? Yeah, absolutely, but it's so much better than it used to be. It was a mess 3 years ago, and then yeah, I think it's crazy this market though because we like the prices just go up for so many consecutive months in a row without really retracing much. And as soon as it retraces at all, it's like the world is going to end. It's like, man, chill out, dude. Like, where were you at when that price was under $1? Now it's at like $12. Like, that's a big run, man. Like, it's got to come down at some point. And, but no, it's going to be interesting because like my thesis is that magical 100K number for Bitcoin, which I do firmly believe. Like I've been saying this for a while. I would be really shocked, not financial advice, but I think by Christmas time it's going to be hovering in that three, maybe even before. It wouldn't surprise me, but the 100K range, and then that's when everyone is, regardless if you're into crypto or not. It's just like kind of it's there. It's just that psychological number. It's like, damn, one Bitcoin. I remember hearing about that, 5 years ago, and it was worth this much. Now it's, are you kidding me? Like, what am I doing? And then, that's when you get so many new people coming in. Like I had some family members. I told them, I think it was like when Bitcoin was under 20K. I forget, maybe 2 years ago. Maybe it was 2 years ago. And everyone was like, oh, they knew I was in crypto. Like, how you doing? How you doing? I'm like, I'm fine. And they're like, well, I see Bitcoin's at, I think it was like 17K or something or 20K. I'm like, I'm completely fine. I said, that's just part of the game. I said, but you'll be the same person that's calling me when it's at 60 or 70K asking like, what should I be buying right now? Like I just never understood that about humans because most of them, the same type of people, will buy scratch off tickets all the time and gamble, go to the casino and everything else, but they won't like take educated guesses on technologies. It's just not. It always fascinates me, like the people's mindsets. Like my mindset when I buy anything is like I already lost it. It's going to zero because then it doesn't bother. It does. The swings don't bother me. It's like whatever. I'm here forever, so. I think over time, whether it's this year, next year, 5 years from now, whatever I put in is going to be worth a lot more. So, whatever happens in the short term, what it is, what it is. Because if you worry about all those swings, I think one, you're taking years off your life. If you're younger, you're going to gray earlier. So,
Yeah.
Because like it's just the way it is. That's how all tech is. Even before crypto, like if you look at all the technologies, that doesn't matter what they are. They could be a $1 trillion company right now. Go look at Apple or Google or Amazon, any of those guys, and like look at some year to years. Like they had some crazy swings too. So kind of is what it is. But I think you're right though. Like overall, I feel really bullish. I think that there really isn't much else to really invest in either, like outside of crypto for the most part. So it's like people are going to get in all these ETFs that are coming and it's kind of solidifying it. And it seems like more and more countries are adopting, some sort of crypto or leaning towards giving better regulations and stuff like that. So it's the place I want to be. I obviously know you've been here longer than I have been. So I think what you're doing is cool. I think it can work. I don't see it as a net negative. Like I try to think of different reasons why it would be like a negative or whatever. Playing devil's advocate, I don't really see any. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. Thank you. And if anybody has any questions, you can hop on or drop a reply to this space, and we'll be happy to answer as well.
So how many people? I know you've been building forever, like just in general in this space. Like how many people are helping build?
We're currently a team of like 10, I think, and we're expanding right now. So hopefully we'll be very soon. I think we'll be around 15 to 20, like devs, BDs, design, all of that, like all the team. Yeah, we're around 10 to 12. So mostly I had a dev shop, like Athena, as well, which I work with a lot of clients. And basically we had a team of like 20 and like 12 have migrated over to this project to work full time on it. So it was easy to find the developers, and I trust the team, and we're executing really fast. So we're finalizing our proof of concept and deploying on some chains. And yeah, so hopefully all goes well.
Is there any? It seems like sometimes with IBC, any chain that's like an Ethernet chain seems to be kind of a pain in the ass. Is there any issues with like that on your side of things?
Like EVM chains integrations?
Yeah, like the ones that are already in Cosmos that are EVM based, like Solidity based. It
Yeah.
seems like there's always issues with IBC or like the ways to transfer, especially on the user side. You always need to know where you click on osmosis and hit deposit, and then it like takes you to like a different page to do. It's almost like it's like not a native token, but it is. Like, is there anything that's holding you guys back, or did you guys have to do anything different, like like on a tech side, to make that so it's not a problem?
Yeah, we are taking this into consideration. Currently, we don't face any problems of that sort, but we are building on top of IBC and integrating with some partners to ensure that it's as smooth as it can be, especially moving over to EVM and integrating with EVM. So, yeah, for now, we don't have any issues at all, but hopefully, we don't face any of them. And if we do, we resolve them as soon as possible.
All right, makes sense. I think there might be another comment. Let me look.
While you're taking a look, Haas, I always take any chance I can get to talk GC up a little bit, because he comes off very calm and everything. But when you really look, anybody that's followed GC in the space, he has been here for a long time, and it is a huge asset that Athena Consulting that he built before this was a profitable company building products for other people in the Cosmos and outside of Cosmos. So essentially everything he needs to already build Euclid, he's already done for years. And he's done something during a bear market that most Web3 projects couldn't do, which was stay profitable and stay alive. And so when we chatted together, it was just very clear to see the resources are all there, right? This is a team of 12 to 15 devs that have already worked together for years. And now they're all just going to be ported over to work on Euclid, where many teams will raise. They'll have to then spend 6 months to hopefully find talent, which isn't easy. And then they'll have to overpay for it. So I think that, like, when we talk to VCs, this is something that we convey to them further in the pipeline. It's not the first thing that we tell them, but when that's kind of the cherry on top or the icing on the cake. They realize, so much of this is in crypto investing, like you were saying, Haas, it's the people, right? And so you're not just coming in at Euclid. Do you like unified liquidity? Is you think the idea is good? The person behind it is really so much when it's this early. So a lot of props to GC and everything that he's bringing to the table to make this happen. And that's partially why we can move so fast, which allows us to catch the modularity narrative, the bull market, and to get something up to TGE and mainnet in Q4. You know, I mean, it's a pretty ridiculous timeline when you look at a lot of teams. So nice job, GC.
I think the first time I met GC was like one of the first times ever in Cosmos. It was like pretty early on, and yeah, he does a really good job of explaining things, and because a lot of people that build in this space, they're a little bit eclectic and really hard to understand. Their minds are going too fast, and they're not really good at socializing. You know, GC's not like that, which is good. It makes the conversations a lot easier. Where I don't have to sit there and like focus 100% on every little detail that he's saying. Some of them, some devs, they sound like they're Martians, man. It's crazy. It's like, damn, what is this guy talking about right now? I need to listen to that again. But in all seriousness, though, like I think it's exciting. I think the timing's right too, and yeah, like you just touched on the modularity narrative, just everything. You know, Cosmos has a better rep too. I know it got a little bit of a stink, like Barry Chain and all that was talking about. You know, not claiming they have anything to do with Cosmos, and I know why they do that. I mean, big VC money. They want they want another. They want you to make another chain and not talk about Cosmos for whatever reason. But I think that narrative's even changing, man. It seems like that. I know I was at ETH Denver in February. The year before I was at ETH Denver, and I think there was one Cosmos side event. It was the Axler one, which technically really wasn't even like a Cosmos event. It was Interop Summit. It really was like an EVM side event, so it really wasn't Cosmos. And then this year, I don't even know, man. It was crazy. Every day there was multiple per day actually side events, the Cosmos based, you know, different chains or whatever. So yeah, it's growing. You know, I know at Consensus, which is coming up, I'm leaving on Monday for it. I know there's a bunch of Cosmos events. So yeah, man, it's just getting bigger. You can even see, I think like last time I looked, there was like 9 or 10 top 100 blockchains in crypto happen to be like IBC gang or whatever. So it's there, man. I think it's the pie is growing for sure. The awareness is growing. I do think, sadly, we need to get more of a meme culture because it just brings over everyone. Like people like the meme, you know. So they it's like a meme coin is like a social. I was talking about earlier the like a lottery, right? It's like a social lottery. So people want to degen hard. I don't advise doing it. Don't get me wrong. I participate in it, but I also think anytime I throw money into a meme coin, I just lost all of it. So.
It's a lot more fun than say infrastructure and unifying liquidity, right? When you can be like, hey, wait a minute, Pepe is like a top 30 coin, I think, and I haven't even looked in a while. Maybe it's top 5 by now.
Yeah, exactly. I think someone had this random tweet. I want to say it was probably pretty accurate that like every 16 minutes or something like that, like there's another meme coin spun up on Solana. It's crazy, man. There's so many coins on Solana, and I have a Mad Lad. I know I'm getting a little bit distracted, but I think it's kind of funny. I have a Mad Lad, which is like the blue chip NFT project on Solana, and I don't look at my wallet all the time, but I randomly will look at it, and I get all these shit coins airdropped to me. And some of the names, man, it's like people are wild. Like there's so many political ones that get airdropped to me. It's just, yeah, man. It's good times, and people are funny. So I mean, look at it though. Like, I think if you probably look at the top 100, there has to be at least 5 or 6 meme coins in the top 100. If I had to just take like an educated guess. You know, so it's a thing, man. It's the culture of crypto. We're all kind of immature, you know, so it is what it is. But in all seriousness, I don't think if you guys had anything to wrap it up, going away, little one-liners or how people can get involved. I know like your Twitter's just starting off, so it's not super active yet. But is there anywhere where the community can come hang out, or do you suggest anything like that?
Yeah, we do have Telegram that you can join. I think it's on Twitter, and everybody's there. And also, you can follow us for latest updates on Twitter and on Medium. Medium's still not that active yet, but it will get active soon. So yeah, Telegram and Twitter would be the best places right now to keep track of our latest updates and join the community.
All right.
Dan, I'll leave with our go-to-market strategy. So anybody that has a favorite layer one that thinks that our unified liquidity layer would be a good fit, now shoot us a DM, right? I mean, you're talking directly to GC or Melch, and with these you guys can now see what we put together and how we put it together with that team. So we would appreciate any DM to help us expand this early.
And I should have asked this, but is there any sort of like worth your while, like minimums, like to start the liquidity pool?
Now we keep it pretty high level. I mean, really, our first target customer that we're trying to serve are layer ones and in the Cosmos, right? So we keep it really simple because it'll have a good trickle down effect. Layer ones really want to keep their TVL, and they don't want, and even better if they don't have to pay a grant to get this awesome application built on them, right? So they love it, and then we're able to show all their dApps, hey, here's how you can get access. But anybody that gets in this early with us, we don't have a strict requirement in terms of what size pool or anything, and we do all the tech debt for you. So it's not like these teams are having to do a lot of integration either. Okay. It's as easy as it gets, Hoss. Gotta love it.
Yeah, man. That's because I'm always talking to people, so it's like, oh yeah, you guys can get on this. So I just was wondering if it was like, oh no, we're looking for at least like 50K each or just whatever, just random numbers, throwing them out there. But that makes sense because I know running relayers isn't the cheapest thing you can do. I'm not sure what like the average monthly fee would be on that to run that infrastructure, but I know it's not free, so it just makes sense that to run all that you would need to somehow make some fees from being on that particular chain, or else it's kind of like weighing pros and cons, I guess. But yeah, when you're starting up, I think sometimes you have to eat stuff, so this is part of the game. But no, man, I think it's great. I'm looking forward to doing further on spaces, especially as testnet incentivized testnets there, and we could talk about that. And then I know we didn't really talk about the EUC token, right? That's what the moniker is going to be. We can do another follow up space about that, how the tokenomics are going to be structured, and things of that nature. So. But I just wanted to thank everyone that tuned in and listens to the recording. As always, I really appreciate it. Thank you. I think if you're in here, you should definitely give the speakers a follow for sure too. So, but anyways, all is good.
Yeah.
I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah,
I
man.
think, yeah, I'll say everyone here too. I think most of you already follow Haas, but yeah, follow Haas if you want anything in the Cosmos, outside of the Cosmos. He's your go-to guy for news, updates, not financial advice, all that stuff.
Never financial advice. Just things that I do but I'm willing to lose everything. So it's all good. So, anyways, take care, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, Hoss. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.